Hello, hello, hello. I hope that those of you who follow me, all two of you, or is that just me, are enjoying the literature. Today, something I've been meaning to get round to for quite some time is question of biology, and it does have a caution rating. Perhaps some people may be uncomfortable with some of this. It's to do with the way people are in a lot of cases who have these trauma problems. There's a book by Alice Miller called The Body Keeps Score. She more famously wrote the drama of the gifted child, or was it the drama of the something else child, slightly different version, and which was written in the 80s, but people don't learn. In fact, there's a good Derek and Clive sketch from 1979 which covers a similar theme called Mother. And I was just thinking how, given the passage of all that time, 38 years, how ironic it was we had the 60s and the 70s, and then we had Margaret Thatcher. I'm not a terrifically massive anti-Thatcher person, but or pro, I guess. But I'm aware now how certain things seem like a reaction against freedom or an imagination, and the sort of lines I've been towing sound a bit like a line of a W.H. Auden poem. Very conservative things I've done, like maintain the flower beds, sing in the choir. But when really I should, if I'm going to do any gardening, it should be one of my own gardens, shouldn't it, or something, or it should be something more creative, or it should be, if I'm going to do singing, I should be an indie rock star, not a some sort of avant-garde singer, not a singer in a male voice choir. And anybody who isn't repressed, who is a bit more wild, as it were, or who's a bit more imaginative, creative, thoughtful, they tend to get a hard time, don't they? Unless you've got your own tribe to begin with, your own gang, or that you gravitate towards. I'm not sure people who are on the fringes or the next big fringe really are imaginative. They might be. Maybe I'll just be sat round a campfire one day singing my unusual songs when I've written them, if I ever do. But where was I? Feral human. Been suggested that not only do things affect the mind, where you the mind does funny things when you undergo stress, but so does the body and its entire development, the switches for development. The word methylation, I don't claim to understand the biology. I did study a little biology at A-level, but I did want to do a bit more professionally at one point as a veterinarian, but I didn't really didn't get that far. And used to actually say that I wanted to be a biologist or a zoologist, but not anymore. Things are not quite as knowledgeable. So I've read bits of a book about epigenetics. They tend to say things that affect you affect the mind and the nervous system. Well, the nervous system is also connected to the endocrine system. The brain is the body, really, isn't it? It's a physical thing. Now, you might think it's almost woohoo to suggest that the mind transforms the body from an early age. But just about every Asperger's affects the body. It affects motor functioning, it affects your senses, and a lot of things in that are very similar to complex post-traumatic stress disorder. If you look at the symptoms list on Wikipedia, something I only discovered a couple of years ago, but I was diagnosed with Asperger's 7 years ago, at the age of 29, which is a little bit wounding to one's pride and dignity. As you can imagine, it's affected my relations to my parents, but then more because I discovered CPTSD. But you also notice that people with Asperger's and CPTSD tend to look a bit different, as if the body has cut the corners in its development because the mind was so badly affected. And you tend to see a lot of people with prognathism, which is no developed mandible, otherwise known as acromegaly, and perhaps other features, maybe the brow ridge, the blankness of the face, stigmatism of the eye, like a lazy eye, things in a strange proportion. And other things related to the glands. I'm quite a healthy person, I do a lot of keep fit, but long distance running, that sort of thing, even though I like to stuff myself with chocolate and everything, but a few beers, etc. It also might cause something like this, I wonder, if it wasn't in the genes to begin with, or if it wasn't an environmentally caused thing. Someone said that Vargavakines, the person who killed someone and had to go to prison for 16 years, the Norwegian, that people with autism are Neanderthals, or then Neanderthal hybrids, or more like a Neanderthal. And it's tempting to think, yes, then again, Neanderthals would have had functional testicles in order to reproduce, or is that part of why they died out? But anyway, as if they're too wild, and that's what makes them stressed, and people react badly to the wildness in them. How it makes them more intellectually profound, though, to be a Neanderthal, reminds me a little bit of the Australian Aborigines, though it may not be PC to say it. They would rely on memory and practical details and geographical knowledge, and they tell each other long stories and I think maybe songs. Imagine having a mind a bit more like that if you were not literate, or if you were literate and you had an education and well, as a mostly Homo sapien person, which I don't think I was racist then. Anyway, I might tell a joke and say I think my nan had some involvement in my infancy, but I don't know. Certain family members were around, so I should just stick to saying my parents' kitchen rather than hers, rather than her ash-scented abode. The smoked, yeah, a lot in that working class residence, and because the maternal bond's very important, isn't it? So my testicles were not in the right place, maybe because they were in my parents' home or my nan's kitchen. Sorry if that sounds a bit weird. It makes you wonder, why can't you communicate? Why do people view you as different so much? Somebody else has a theory about blood types. There's all sorts of awful stuff on the internet about conspiracy theories. Or the O rhesus negative blood type. Don't claim to know a lot about blood types either, to be honest with you. But I do like to know the facts. If somebody could ever fill me in a bit better on how everything works. But it's just how this condition where the testicles become lodged in the inguinal canal, and I had to have surgery when I was 7, and I had to have maxillofacial surgery when I was 21 and 22. Was it 20 and 21? Yes. Why do we have to have these things done? I noticed somebody on the internet thinks that it's due to not breathing through your nose, and he's a dentist. Shame on him. This is a twin. Picture of twins where a girl breathed. That sounds very black and white thinking, or very patronising. Kids have got enough to do than just be told not to breathe through their nose. I've never even heard of it. Maybe you have, I don't know. Maybe I'm just ignorant about that. Kids have got better things to do. It's like, pressure them not to breathe through your mouth, breathe through your nose. Not breathing through your nose, yeah. As if that affects bone structure more than anything. It wouldn't be the hypothalamus or the pituitary gland or gonads or the anything else with it. Well, the pituitary gland's the master gland in the brain, so it's going to be affecting more things to do with in relation to the nervous system. Also quite a hairy man, in a funny sort of way. I don't know if that affects anything, but you can also wonder about race, can't you? Like, there's some mixing of race in my background, going a couple of generations back. Probably Indian, as in Asia. Or maybe that made my jaw big. Oh, what terrible anxieties. Emotive things you might think about that. But I like to stick with the either the Neanderthal idea or the child abuse. Yeah, child abuse is the best one. Have a nice life, everybody.